Before we switch gears and start talking about forms in React, and while we are still on the subject of the prop types, I would like to talk about how we can check and what happens if we pass down the prop as an object. And we can do that with something called shape. I also would like to let you know that with the prop types, you can get really creative. You can create your custom functions and all that. However, we're just going to stick in this course with a basic JavaScript types like string, number, an array, you name it, as well as we're going to be talking about how we can check the objects if they're being received as props. First and foremost, I would like to head over to the person number two, where we have the people array, and then just comment out this image and name or uncomment this. And in this case, what we're having is that the number two, the person number two, is going to be getting all the props. However, I would also like to change something around here because as we already have covered in the projects, we can pass this down as a object. Remember? Because what's happening right now, we're passing each and every prop by image, person.image, name, person.name. However, we can do something like this. Let's say person is going to be equal to a person. So what's happening right now is I'm saying, okay, so there's going to be a person prop with the value of what we're getting back here from each and every item, which would be each and every item. So that would be this object. Now, the moment I'm going to say it, first of all, we notice that our default props are working. Since at the moment, what we have? Well, we're looking for these props. However, we have the default props. And that's the reason why each and every item looks exactly the same. The kicker here is that all these props at the moment are undefined because understand that we're passing here the object. We're not passing anymore the individual props. You want me to show you how this is going to work? Well, first of all, let's say that we would be looking for the person. So I'm going to say here, okay, we're going to be getting the person. However, still, it's saying, well, okay, you don't have no image. You don't have no name, no age, no nothing, no info. So we would need to either destructure it, and we can do that right above the return, or we can do it right here in the parameters. And the way we destructure it, remember, was a colon, and then we're looking for the values. Image, name, and age. And let's say also the info. And again, it would be exactly the same as we would write it right here with image, name, age, and info. Again, I'm just showing you two ways because you might get sometimes confused, but that would be exactly the same as working with props, but then we're looking for the person. Again, just understand that you would be looking for these props here also as you're destructuring. So that would be two ways how we can do that. So I'm going to comment this out, but just remember that in order for this to work, also within the parameters here, you would be need to look for the props or at least for the person. That way would be another solution how you can do that. Now, the moment we do that, notice what happens. So I'm successfully getting these variables. I'm getting image, name, age, and info. However, my default props are not working anymore because I don't see anymore for the info, the default info about the person. And again, the reason for that is because we're not getting anymore the image, name, and age and info as a prop. We're getting the person as a prop. And at the moment, the property of info is actually empty. Don't believe me? We can actually console log it. Let's say console log. And when I say empty, obviously I mean undefined. But let's write info. And the moment we're going to save it, notice what you're going to have in the console. So let me open up the console. And then we're going to have two undefineds. And then there's going to be some info about the beater. So we know that this is not going to work anymore because these are not going to be our props. And by the way, we also don't see any more checking because let's say if I would add over here info, and you know what, let me just copy and paste the line right away. Copy and paste instead of age, I'm going to say info. Info is going to be not number. It's going to be, let's say, string. And again, the moment I'm going to rerun the application, there will be no error in the console. And again, I'm going to repeat this probably for the fifth time, but the reason for that, and this is very important, is because we're not receiving them anymore as individual props. We're getting this props object. So the person is an object. So how we can check if the person would be an object. Well, first and foremost, let me get rid of these two because they're not going to make sense right now. So for now, let me just comment this out, as well as, for this guy, we'll delete everything. And then I'm going to show you something that fails because you might be tempted to do something later on, which is not going to work. So first and foremost, in order to check this, we need to say, okay, so we have the person component. And then within the person component, we also have the property of person. However, this person property, we're going to have to say like this. We're going to say prop types. So I'm going to be looking for the prop types. Then we have a dot, and then we're going to have the shape. So like I said, this would be the way how we can check if the object has the particular shape. And from this point, this should be very familiar, where our object still has these properties. So what I can do is I can just cut this out, copy and paste it, and let's say uncomment it right now, and notice what's going to happen in the console. At the moment right now, I'm getting my person info is marked as required. However, this is not provided. So I already know that some of my checking is working with this dot shape, because now I can say, okay, even though I'm getting this as an object, I can use the shape to check for the particular shape of the object. And at the moment, my info is going to be missing. And by the way, let me get rid of the info. I guess comment this out because you already understand the idea. And your next question probably would be, okay, so I know how I check for them. However, how I can use the default props. And your original idea would be something like this. Okay, so I set the props previously anyway that way. So why don't we do this? Why don't we say person? Then this obviously is going to be an object. And I'm going to do the info. Is going to be again the same thing. Some info, or let's say default info about the person. That's going to be our text. And the moment we save it, what do we see? Well, I see that still I have the same issue. So info is not going to be rendered if we haven't passed it down and if it's not obviously contained within the people, because this is not how this is going to work. So we cannot do just a simple default props where we pass a person and that would be an object. So we would need to start getting creative here. And I'm just going to show you the quick and dirty way where, let's say we have the info, we can do the or operator. And let's say in this case, I'm going to say some, or let's do default info about the person. Now I'm still going to get my warning in the console because still the info key is not being provided with a person object for the person number one as well as person number two. However, with this quick and dirty solution, at least I got some kind of default value. Obviously, there's more sophisticated ways how we can do that, but I just wanted to show you the quick and dirty solution. As well as from this video, I hope you took away three things where if we're passing here the prop as an object by saving us, let's say typing here and specifically saying each and every prop that we're going to be passing, we would need to use probably shape if you would want to check this, because then you can be looking for the keys that you have within that props object. And you can say either this is going to be required and what kind of type of the prop that you're going to be getting or the key that you're going to be getting, as well as you're not going to be able to use the default props on the person or let's say prop object. So you're going to have to come up with some kind of different solutions. And the simplest and the fastest one would be just getting here the or operator. And then if this is undefined, then it was going to be rendering wherever we have on the right side of the or operator.